What if I told you there's a way to completely free yourself from the stress of worrying about what others think? A way to stop chasing approval, overcome the fear of rejection, and finally feel at peace with who you are. Sounds impossible, right? But here's the twist. This kind of freedom doesn't come from changing the world around you. It comes from changing how you see it. Every day we're surrounded by opinions, what we should do, how we should live, what success looks like. People often unintentionally try to steer our choices and pull us away from what feels right for us. The result? We start doubting ourselves, seeking validation and losing touch with what really matters, our own happiness. But what if you could cut through all that noise and finally take back control? What if you could wake up every day feeling confident in your decisions, unshaken by criticism, and completely at peace with yourself? This is exactly what Buddhist teachings offer. A path to rise above the pressure of others' opinions and reconnect with your true self. In this guide, we'll dive into 10 powerful Buddhist lessons that will help you let go of external judgments and focus on what really matters, your own inner peace and happiness. Stick with me, and by the end of this, you'll see how freeing yourself from these mental traps can transform your life. Have you ever felt like your happiness depends on what someone else says or does? A single compliment can make your day, but one criticism can ruin it. Why do we give so much power to others over how we feel? Buddha reminds us with his timeless words, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. This means that real happiness doesn't come from someone else's approval, praise, or actions. It comes from within you. When you depend on others for happiness, you're handing over control of your emotions. It's like building your house on quicksand, unsteady and easily shaken. Instead, Buddhism teaches us to look inward, learn to find joy in who you are, in the present moment, and in the little things you already have. It's not about shutting people out, but building a foundation of peace that doesn't collapse when someone lets you down. Think about this. What would life feel like if your happiness wasn't tied to anyone else's behavior? Imagine the freedom of knowing you're in control of your own peace. That's what self-reliance gives you, a kind of happiness no one can take away. Now you might wonder, but how do I handle being alone without feeling lonely? Let's dive into the next lesson to uncover the surprising power of solitude. When was the last time you spent time alone, really alone, with just your thoughts? Did it feel awkward? Uncomfortable? Many people fear being by themselves because they confuse solitude with loneliness. But here's the truth. Being alone is where your greatest strength can grow. Buddha said, meditate, live purely, be quiet, do your work with mastery. This isn't about isolating yourself. It's about learning to be at peace in your own company. Solitude gives you the chance to reflect, recharge, and truly connect with yourself without distractions. When you're alone, you're free from the noise of other people's opinions. It's your chance to discover what you really want, think, and feel. Instead of relying on others for comfort or validation, you become your own best companion. Here's a question to think about. What could you achieve if you embraced solitude instead of avoiding it? The possibilities are endless when you use alone time to grow emotionally and spiritually. But what happens when we're constantly chasing approval from others? That's where we need to shift our mindset. Let's move to the next lesson to see how. Why do we care so much about what others think of us? Is it the fear of being judged? Or is it because we think their opinions define our worth? Whatever the reason, chasing approval is exhausting and honestly pointless. Buddha reminds us of this truth. You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. Think about that for a second. The love and approval you're looking for, you already have the power to give it to yourself. When you constantly seek validation, whether it's through compliments, likes, or someone's acceptance, you give others control over your self-esteem. If they approve of you, you feel good. If they don't, you feel like you're not enough. But the truth is, no one's opinion can ever define your worth. Here's the shift. Start giving yourself the kindness, support and love you're seeking from others. When you approve of yourself, the need for external validation fades away. Imagine how much lighter life would feel if you stopped chasing approval and started building your confidence from within. But what about those times when rejection feels unbearable? Let's uncover the secret to handling rejection in the next lesson. Rejection hurts, no doubt about it. Whether it's not getting the job, being turned down by someone you care about, or facing criticism, it can feel like a punch to your self-esteem. But here's a question. What if rejection wasn't the end of the road, but a redirection to something better? Buddha said, in the end, only 3 things matter. How much you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you. Rejection is life's way of telling you this isn't your path, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you're not good enough. It just means there's something else waiting for you. Instead of letting rejection knock you down, use it as a tool for growth. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this experience to become better? The sooner you let go of the things not meant for you, the sooner you'll create space for new opportunities. Here's a thought to hold on to. What if every rejection was actually a blessing in disguise? Would you see it differently? But what about the constant fear of being judged? How do we stop worrying about what others think? Let's move on to the next lesson to find out. Have you ever held back from doing something because you were worried about what people might say? Maybe you hesitated to share your ideas, try something new, or just be yourself. But here's a truth you need to hear. Most people aren't thinking about you nearly as much as you think they are. Buddha said, let none find fault with others. Let none see the misdeeds and commissions of others. But let one see one's own acts, done and undone. This reminds us that the only opinion that truly matters is our own. People's judgments are often more about them than about you. Their opinions are shaped by their experiences, insecurities and perspectives. And let's face it, most people are too busy worrying about their own lives to focus on yours. Imagine how freeing it would be to live without the fear of judgment. What could you achieve if you stopped holding yourself back? The truth is, worrying about what others think only wastes your energy. Focus on your own journey, and you'll find a sense of freedom and peace that no one can take away. How often do you find yourself saying yes when you really want to say no? Maybe it's agreeing to take on extra work, doing favors when you're already stretched thin, or staying silent to avoid upsetting someone. While it might seem noble to put others first, constantly sacrificing your own peace to please everyone is draining and ultimately impossible. Buddha reminds us, better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace. This teaches us that your inner peace is far more valuable than bending over backward to meet everyone else's expectations. No matter how hard you try, you can't make everyone happy all the time. Buddhism isn't about being selfish, it's about finding balance. You can still be kind and compassionate without letting other people's needs overwhelm your life. Learn to set boundaries, say no when it's necessary, and protect your well-being. When you prioritize your peace, you'll notice something amazing. You can actually give more to others, but from a place of strength, not exhaustion. Here's something to think about. How much energy are you spending trying to please others? And how different would your life feel if you chose to prioritize your own happiness? But what about situations you can't control? How do you stay calm when life feels chaotic? Let's move on to the next lesson to find out. Life has a way of throwing curveballs. People act unpredictably, plans fall apart, and sometimes things just don't go the way you imagined. It's easy to feel frustrated, even helpless. But here's the big question. What if the key to staying calm isn't about controlling the chaos, but controlling how you respond to it? Buddha said, rule your mind or it will rule you. This simple truth is life-changing. Instead of wasting energy trying to change things outside your control, like other people's behavior or unexpected events, focus on the one thing you can control: yourself. Your thoughts, reactions, and mindset are all within your power. For example, when someone disappoints you, you can't change their actions, but you can choose how to respond. Will you let it ruin your day, or will you take a deep breath and move forward? Imagine this. What would your life look like if you stopped trying to control things that aren't yours to control? How much lighter would you feel if you redirected that energy toward your own growth? By focusing on your own habits, thoughts, and reactions, you build resilience. Suddenly, the things that once stressed you out lose their grip on you. Chaos might still happen, but it no longer has the power to disturb your inner peace. But there's another challenge we all face: worrying about what others think. How do we let go of that? Let's uncover the next lesson. Be honest. How many times have you held back from doing something because you were worried about being judged? Maybe you didn't wear that bold outfit, didn't share your ideas in a meeting, or stayed quiet in a group discussion. But here's a surprising truth. Most people aren't even paying that much attention to you. Buddha said, "Your work is to discover your world and then with all your heart give yourself to it." This is a reminder that you have your own unique path to follow, and other people's opinions don't need to shape it. Here's the reality. People are usually too focused on their own lives to dwell on yours. They're busy worrying about their own problems, dreams, and insecurities. That means the harsh judgment or intense scrutiny you imagine. It's probably not even happening. Once you realize this, it's freeing. You stop holding yourself back out of fear of what others might think. You start making decisions that align with your values and goals, not because you're trying to impress or please anyone else. Think about this. What could you achieve if you stopped worrying about other people's opinions? How much energy could you redirect into becoming the best version of yourself? And when you stop focusing on others and start focusing on your own growth, something amazing happens. Let's dive deeper into this idea in the next lesson. Have you ever scrolled through social media and thought, "Wow, everyone's doing better than me"? Maybe it's that friend with the picture-perfect vacation, the colleague who's climbing the career ladder, or even a stranger with a glamorous lifestyle. But here's the catch. What you see is only half the story. Buddha reminds us, health is the greatest gift, contentment the greatest wealth, faithfulness the best relationship. True happiness isn't about having more than someone else, it's about appreciating what you already have. Comparison is one of the biggest traps we fall into. When you measure yourself against others, you're focusing on what you lack instead of what you've achieved. And let's be honest, social media makes this so much worse. People showcase their highlight reels, not the struggles, the failures, or the messy behind the scenes. Ask yourself this: how often do you compare your work in progress to someone else's finished product? And how much joy are you losing in the process? Instead of comparing yourself to others, try shifting your perspective. Look at your own journey. Celebrate your wins, big or small. Everyone's path is different, and yours is unique to you. When you let go of comparison, you free up space to appreciate your own progress. But what happens when we're so focused on seeking validation from others? Let's explore how to turn that energy inward in the next lesson. Do you ever feel like you're chasing approval, whether it's from your family, your boss, or even strangers on the internet? Maybe it's that like on a post, a pat on the back at work, or a nod of approval from someone you admire. But here's the harsh truth. External validation is fleeting. It feels good for a moment, but it doesn't last. Buddha teaches the mind is everything. What you think, you become. This reminds us that the only validation you truly need comes from within. When you prioritize your own growth, your mindset, self-awareness and values, you stop needing others to tell you you're enough. The problem with chasing external validation is that it's tied to your ego. And the ego? It's never satisfied. No matter how much approval you get, it'll always want more. This creates a cycle of dissatisfaction where you're constantly chasing something that can't give you lasting fulfillment. Imagine this instead. What if your confidence wasn't tied to anyone else's opinion? What if it came from knowing you're growing as a person? Inner growth brings resilience, a strength that no one can take away from you. You start to measure success not by how others see you, but by how much you've evolved. And here's the beautiful part. When you stop worrying about external validation, you gain the freedom to live authentically. You make choices based on your own values, not someone else's expectations. So now the big question is, what would your life look like if you let go of seeking approval and focused entirely on becoming the best version of yourself? Let's wrap it all up in the conclusion. Imagine a life where you no longer feel controlled by what others think, where rejection doesn't break you, and where you're at peace with who you are. This isn't just a dream, it's possible, and the path to it lies within you. Buddha's teachings show us how to reclaim our freedom by letting go of the need for approval, comparison, and control over things we can't change. It's not about becoming perfect, it's about becoming more mindful, more grounded, and more connected to yourself. Now it's your turn. Start small. Maybe it's spending a little more time with yourself, setting boundaries, or simply pausing to reflect on what truly makes you happy. These steps, no matter how small, will lead you to a life of greater peace and self-empowerment. And remember, growth isn't about what others see, it's about what you feel. You don't need anyone else's validation to know you're on the right path. Every step you take inward is a step toward freedom and authenticity. If you found value in these lessons, why not share this wisdom with someone who could use it? Hit that like button, share this with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights like this. Your journey to inner peace starts now. Let's grow together.